We are back with another Armfighter report. It's September 28th, and I have the pleasure of sitting here with the number 10 ranked 210-pound right-hander in the country, Stephen Logsdon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But the question is, how are you doing? You have quite the event coming up, and out of everybody, focus is one thing I'm not worried about from you. I remember talking to you a few months ago, even, and you were already dialed in on October 21st in this bracket. So, how are things going? How's training going?
Gym's been good. Pulling's been pretty good, not as often as I'd like, but make up that with the gym. And, I've arm wrestled since I was little. I know how to arm wrestle. It's just being in the right shape. I've committed, the last, ever since they told me, really. I haven't been trying to take other events or anything like that that's going to slow down my progress. I know I'm going in there with some of the baddest dudes in the country, and I feel like I've given it all I have to give, and I'm gonna go in there and do my best.
I don't know what that is. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Lost you there. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all good.
Now you are one of the baddest dudes in the country too, so you're in that mix. But you are probably considered an underdog coming in for sure. How do you see yourself coming in? Do you see yourself as an underdog, or do you see yourself as worthy of taking home that title?
Man, it's anybody's game, really. I feel like I'm coming in understanding that if I had to pull everybody round one, I'm an underdog. But I've arm wrestled since I was a little kid, and I can do that shit all day. So, round eight, round nine, when you're flagging, I'm gonna be ready.
You have a good style for that too, right? I mean, you obviously you're more of a top roll guy, at least in my eyes. I don't know. You might look at it different. It you would think in the round robin format that that's got to benefit the top roller, right? That you wouldn't think the hook guy is going to necessarily win. But I see it the same way. I think towards the end of the bracket, that causes people a lot more problems, and you're going to cause some problems for people if they're not ready. Do you have anybody that you're specifically worried about in the bracket, or just everybody in as a whole, or is there somebody that you're specifically like, oh man, I'm really not sure about this guy?
I don't think there's anybody I'm scared of. There are guys that are higher priority targets for me. Like, um, there are guys that are definitely more dangerous out of the mix. Obviously, Adam, Craig, Artem. Those are going to be the three that, you know, those are the guys that everybody's going to expect to kind of cut through this. And lost you there for a minute. But really, those guys are the high priority for probably everybody. Um, but everybody's a bad dude. Like, you got Roby in the mix, you got Quinlan, Bob Brown, who's a sleeper. Really, everybody's kind of looking at Bob like he may not sit in there well with everybody, but I don't agree with that. He can sit on that bone block all day, like while we're all sitting here using our muscles to try to force this, he's going to be sitting in there comfy. It's kind of a toss up, really. But my top four priorities for people that I have to be 100% on my game is going to be Craig, and then Artem, Roby. Those will be my top three. The Adam's probably number two. Honestly, it probably goes Craig, Adam, Artem, Roby, Artem. Either way, there. I think that Roby's probably a harder matchup for me than Artem, but who knows?
Have you
Artem's
pulled any
big.
of these guys? You pulled Eli,
Um,
I think, right?
I pulled Eli, I pulled Quinlan, I pulled Bob, I pulled Adam, I pulled Craig, I pulled I pulled Roby before, but that was several years back. I've pretty much gripped up with almost every. I've pulled at Bordeaux before, not in tournament, but I've grabbed onto almost everybody in the tournament. Now the replacement guys, I haven't really grabbed onto them. Um, at that point, it's kind of one of them things where when that plan gets disrupted, we're all showing up to show who's bad, so it don't really matter who's there. We're all going to win.
So you're not. Are you familiar at all with the replacements, the Casey Coley or was it Luis Alarcon?
Minimally.
Something like that.
I haven't heard of Casey. I haven't seen much from Casey. Luis, I've seen a little bit from Wyoming State. I've been trying to watch, film everything I can get a hold of. But no, really don't know.
Yeah, I saw him in the video that Brad Cook had put out. That's the only thing I really knew. I mean, he looked strong from that, but it was not a huge sample size. So I don't know much about him.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, you could put 11 other names in there. I'm gonna go in there and do the same thing. So
being ranked number 10, though, I mean, it's hard to really consider you an underdog. I mean, at the 210 weight, I mean, obviously, a lot of these guys are monsters, but do you think the layout that you got? I'm sure you looked at it already since they had it out. Do you think that looks good for you? Do you like what you see? Do you wish it would be switched up any different way? Or just doesn't matter?
I really like it. For me, I know that I have some of my stiffer competition in the later rounds, and I think the ones on my danger list, the only one I've got in the first 6 rounds is Roby. Out of that, now every one of them guys can throw me off. You know what I mean? Everybody in there is worthy of being there. So it's kind of a toss-up. I really don't know what could be a better mix for me. I'm kind of cool with pulling Roby second. I got Eli first. So both the matches will be a good way to start off the day. Kind of lets me set my tone as, hey, I'm the top roller and I'm not getting hooked all day. Let's do this.
Do you think that's true? Nobody in here is going to throw you into the hook?
I don't know that nobody will, but hey, I'm going up there to try and make sure that they don't, That's my whole job.
Let's say they do throw you in the hook. Are you prepared to go to war in that sense, or would you just say, okay, I guess I lost this one, I'll lay it down, I'm going to save myself to continue the top roll through the rest of them?
It's all tactical. It depends what round, when, where.
And how you feel?
I've kind of considered, whether or not to kind of let it go if somebody gets me in a spot where I don't feel like I'm competitive. In reality, I don't think I have any losses to give in the first, in any round. I'm here to win every match. So it's whatever it takes. If they turn me inside, like, you're not going to watch me give up, I'll try. Even if it looks like I ain't doing much, I'm trying.
Right.
Sometimes they're just that strong.
I had mentioned to a couple of the other guys if they had ever – I know the answer from you. I don't even need to ask, but to bring it up, the consideration of laying down in any of these circumstances, not as much like I said, with you getting caught in a hook, but just flat out, hey, I don't want to force myself into this match or have this match for further in the tournament. I guess I'll call it a tournament. I can't see you doing that at any point in time. But do you think that plays into any of this? Do you see anybody else in the bracket actually doing that?
I mean, I can't speak for what everybody else is going to do, but kind of feel like we're all showing up because we think we're the baddest dudes in the country. And if you're laying down and not even trying, you ain't the baddest dude in the country.
You ain't the baddest dude.
Like it is. is what it is. Like we all showed up to pull. If you lay down to somebody, hey, you shouldn't have been in here in the first place.
So maybe that's
You,
it. The first person to lay down, they get the target then.
I guess, like it's pretty much one of them things where if you're laying down in a tournament where it's invite only and you've got an opportunity to pull the baddest dudes in the country and you're not going to give it your all, you don't need to be there.
Do you think your hand holds up to all these hookers throughout the thing? Do you think after the event you'll still be fresh, ready to go, do a little after party?
Ain't no way. Ain't no way I'll be fresh ready to go afterwards. But I think all 11 rounds of my matches, I'm hoping my hand's ready. There are some guys that have more power caps that are definitely the questionable ones. Like I said, they're kind of in my later rounds. So I feel conditioned well. I'm in better shape than when I pulled John. I'm in better shape than really I've ever been. So I feel like I'll hold up. My hand's not usually what gives out.
You've been pulling for a long time and you pull at a high level. Is this the toughest test you've had so far? This event coming up?
This will be the most talent stacked event I've ever competed in. I've pulled Arnold's. I've been at several WAL events. I've pulled nationals 8, 9 times. None of them really compares. Like arm wrestling has grown but dropped off in the U.S. in the last, since my dad was doing it when I was younger. Nationals used to be the place to be. If you thought you were bad, you went to nationals and you became national champion. You were a bad dude because of it. Now, sadly, I feel like our U.S. nationals have dropped off. It's not due to promoters not doing their job. Like the promoters for our nationals do an amazing job trying to get people there, but it's become more of a money thing for people, and it doesn't hold the same claim it used to. So this will be the first tournament I get to go to where I feel like every one of the bad dudes that's there is supposed to be there, and we're going to see who's the best in the U.S.
Stamina wise, yeah, I'm sure you've been to events though where you've pulled 11 matches, right?
Oh,
Like so. Is that one of those things that you don't even consider that as part of this? You're going in there for each match. Is stamina not even a thing because you can do that? Because you're one to pull through the tournament and the after pull all night, be the last one there anyway.
yeah. Like, you know, there there's a cap to your stamina. Like you have high volume output and you can do high volume output, which is like your 100% max only so many times. And then you kind of start chipping down that percentage of what you can output. For me, as long as I'm still ending somewhere in the 70% by the time we get to round 11, that's the best I'll be able to hope for. I know the first 7, 8 times I'll be at 100%. It takes, unless we get some deep grinders or, really my style is pretty efficient. So I'm either going to win efficiently or I'm going to lose quickly. So the tax on my arm is going to be pretty minimal. It's just kind of whether if people want to sit there and make it ugly. And if they're willing to make it ugly and it gets ugly, it's because I've got their hand backwards and I'll sit in there with them. If you can press me, let's do it.
So, who's let me ask you this. What's your Vegas odds for you to win the whole thing going in there? It's you to take first. What's the Vegas odds? 3-1, 5-1, 10-1?
That's a hard one. I'd probably say
Are you confident you make the money?
yeah, I should break the money. I feel like, but everybody's a bad dude. I don't know. I feel like in my mind, I'm supposed to. I feel like I'm supposed to go up there and do what I do, and I should be in there in the top six.
Top three?
And like, I can make top three. I feel like I can make top three out of a round robin. You know what I mean? If I was pulling each of these guys at their 100%, I don't think I would probably make the top three. But that's not how this is going to really roll out.
It does make it
I'd be surprised
interesting.
if we don't get injuries in there. You know what I mean? Like,
Say that
there's
again?
so many pullers. I'd be really surprised if we don't have some injuries in the tournament or the round robin. There's just so many hook pullers that are going to be turning inside and digging deep. You know what I mean? I don't see a lot of matches where guys are just going to get flashed right to the pad each go around. So
Yeah, there is a nice mix of styles. There's a lot of people that'll jump in there and bang and not care, and then there's
yeah,
some full-fledged top rollers like you too. So I don't know.
I'd
Are
say
you?
there's about 4 top rollers, 8 committed hook or sideways style.
And that plays into the top roller's favor. It's got to, I would think.
Yeah, I feel like it. And then even some of the top roll, like Artem's about the only top roller that I'll call where he's more of a side pressure puller. He doesn't really care whether he has his pronator or not. He's just going sideways hard right now. You catch him up, he's gonna dump it.
Is that a style that's worse than hook? You think for stamina? Because like for me, if you lose your hand and you dump and you go, it's quite taxing. You know. For matches following up right afterwards, almost worse than a hook.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like it is too. But you know, you got to get him there too. You have to force him to that position where and I don't think that very. I think 4 people will be able to force him. Five people would be able to force him under with no hand. And like he's still super strong from there. He has a really good connection with that lower elbow where he can just drive shoulder through. So I feel like really I got Craig at the highest odds of winning for the whole thing. Second, I would say Artem. Third is a toss up for me between Bob and, well, I'm going to put Bob in fourth, and I'm going to say probably third will be a toss up between me and Jason. I feel like Jason Merlot has the ability to cut through that bracket pretty well. He is very, very good at defending a hook, and he can force his angles.
I do agree with the Merlot line. Do you think elbow fouls play any role in Toulier finishing first?
It could, but it depends on the reffing. And I love Craig, what I mean? I'm one of his biggest fans, but that elbow does pop off there every once in a while, and he does get the benefit. But hey,
and you're in a lot of grinders too, right? The guys that he's at, I mean, him going straight to the pad to flash isn't always going to be the case probably, and he's going to get into a position where he can. I know people think it's a joke, but in my eyes, that's part of me seeing him make it through all 11 matches. Can he do it without elbow fouling?
Yeah. And like it's limited to even the number of people who will be able to slow him down enough not to get flash pinned. Like it's going to come down to, for Craig's day, his draws. I haven't seen Craig's bracket. I need to look at it, but the faster he pulls someone like Adam Roby or Yeah, pretty much them two.
The
Like
hookers.
yeah. Well, the hookers that have that inside pressure to actually stop and commit enough to actually get a stop. Because if you're not, let's say, easy, 160 pounds of side pressure realistically, like real 160, not off a cable, like you can move 160 pounds side pressure, you can probably sit in there and hang with Craig and at least maybe stop him from pinning you and have a match. But if you're not pushing that much, his connections aren't coming apart. He's arm wrestled forever, and he's shown time and time again that when it's time to go sideways, he's going sideways. Like with Eduardo, everybody thought watching Dallas and Eduardo pull that Eduardo was going to have a stop for Craig. And they rolled 3 matches in a row to see who won. And then they rolled 2 more afterwards, and Craig pulled in a hook with Eduardo after he top rolled him. And just sat like he just flashed him the first time. And then the second time he sat there and held for a 5 count and then just flashed it. It's a different kind of pressure. It's 35 years of arm wrestling.
Mm-hmm. World level stuff, right?
Yep, world level, no doubt.
Yeah, so he should be able to buckle down. Obviously, he is probably the favorite, I would assume. So
Everybody's got to make it ugly with him. You know what I mean? Like you can't give him
and
an
he'll get
ounce.
ugly with him, right? So you
Oh yeah, he
almost
don't care.
assume it is. As long as the match stops, it's probably going to be ugly. But I'm sure he could get a few flash pins in there too. You know,
Yeah, you,
all you guys kind of have the capability of it.
yeah. I think for a lot of people, it's going to come down to less about power at a certain point and more about how good of an arm wrestler they are, about their strategies for each puller. Like I have a plan for each and every person. And if you go in there and just thinking, hey, I'm stronger than everybody and I'm just going to blow through everybody, it ain't going to work like that. You've got 11 rounds back to back of just the baddest dudes. Like you're not going to just blow through everybody. So at some point, strategy is going to come into it.
So table IQ is going to play a big factor then.
Yeah, I feel like, well, and like, especially in some of the, not in Craig's case, Craig's been there, done it all, but like for the rest of us, having the right setups and the right angles and the right looks can change a match completely, and feel like that's going to play a big role is how people go about trying to pull each other. We only get one shot at each person. There's a lot of people that haven't pulled each other. So you're kind of still guessing in the dark at what's going to happen. So, it'll all come down to what they plan and what they think we can do to each other, who can assert their move or run away from the other one.
Do you have your dad in your corner?
Yeah, he'll be with me this time.
Is everybody allowed just one corner? Did they have any kind of rules set up for that?
We didn't really talk about it, or I didn't. I think it's kind of one of them things where we'll be at the venue, and I feel like they're kind of encouraging the crowd and everybody there. So I know Austin Tevis said he was going to drive down and watch. He was excited about watching. It'd be nice to have him in my corner too, and it's definitely a good feeling having Dad there.
Austin's also got another one coming up. He's in the one. It's in March, I think, the 176 that they got coming up as well. That should all be exciting. I really like the format. I like the whole getting together the best guys and getting them in the room. I'm glad everybody can commit to do it. I don't know. It's a cool event. I'm glad you're a part of it. I'm not sleeping on you. I think a lot of people might be, but I know personally what they're in for. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I got this shirt on right here. This is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is the first tournament that me and you pulled at,
Yep.
if you
It was the
remember.
very first arm wrestling match I ever had at at a level above kids. I arm
Level
wrestled when I was a kid, but I did not know how to arm wrestle. You know what I mean? So that was really cool, man. We go way back. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
we've been at some of the baddest tournaments in the country together.
I mean, that was a cool tournament. They had about 300 guys there. They were printing T-shirts with Lucas Weaver put that on. That
Yeah.
was pretty crazy. Yeah, man, that was like my second tournament. I didn't know what I was doing either, and all I know is I went up there to face this kid. I'm like, oh, he's just a kid. I'll be fine. And then you got Bill Logsdon in your corner, and it's just all you had like three. It was all studs. I'm like, this kid's got a whole corner and a team. I'm up here with my wife on her phone, and yeah, he smashed me. I thought at that point maybe I could I'll get him. I'll get him one of these days. And Jesus Christ, I got so much further and further away. It's crazy to see how far you've come since then. And
No, I appreciate it, man.
yeah, but what are you? Only 22, maybe?
25.
25. Okay. Damn,
Yep.
we're getting old as shit. You were only 16 then.
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Holy
This
shit, it's been that long.
Yep, March. Here in March be my 10th year pulling.
Good Lord. Well, that's crazy, man. I wish you luck in the training. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Anytime, man.
I like your chances, man. I think you got the money in the bag. Shooting for that top three.
I'm
Just
shooting
rock
for
and
that
roll,
top
man.
one.
I know you are, man. I know you are. And there's something to be said about the heart and the drive. And if you want it when you get there. And that's one thing that I know about you, that you're going to want it more than anybody else there. So hopefully that
Yeah, I've
goes
got a lot
further
of-
and people will see it.
I've put in about 4 or 5 practices this year with Dylan Burns, and man, I can't say enough how much that guy helps me. He's so smart and talented, him and Wayne both. And I think between them guys and Dad and everybody up here in the Kansas City area, I'm pretty well tuned in and ready to go. I gotta definitely say my thanks for everybody. They've been kind of rooting me on.
It's a bad group of people, man. I love Dylan. I love his dad. I love the KC guys, all of it. Your dad, all of it, man. You got a good team. You're ready to go. I'm rooting for you, man.
Hell yeah.
All right. Again, appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Yep. Anytime, man.
Thanks, buddy.